YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back with my NFL Week 5 score predictions, predicting the score of every game every single week. We also take a look at the lines on the game, see if any games are worth putting money on. And also, you can gain more score predictions. You can get Junior's score predictions on the Patreon. If you didn't know, Junior is the defending picks champion here at the Goat House. He's also the current leader. So you can take my predictions here on YouTube every week and his on the Patreon every week and kind of compare, seeing if there's any matches, see if there's any games you want to put money on there, because you can take a look at the lines with the score prediction. And I am recording this video on October 2nd. His score predictions will be up on the Patreon every week. They may be up now. They will for sure be easily within the next 24 hours and way before Thursday Night Football kicks off. Also, with that package of getting his score predictions, you can get updated playoff predictions, mock drafts. Couple of those, both of those are already on the Patreon, and they're going to be updated constantly pretty much every single week. So you get a lot from our Patreon, patreon.com/thegoathouse. There's a link in the description. But we got our score predictions today. Like I said, predicting all these scores for every game every week. We have a subscriber goal of 40K. By the end of this year, please help us out by subscribing. We got you covered with full NFL and college football content all year long. Turn notifications on. Click that like button. Thursday Night Football. Thursday night's been weird this year. I pretty much, I guess I had a pretty good prediction last week with the Packers and the Eagles. I kind of just played the matchup game and what really should happen. But Thursday Night Football, very random this year. And here's another one that could be random because we've seen the Seahawks with the dominating win last week, and the Rams, even though they, a very disappointing loss, giving up 55 points, and they score 40 and still lose. But then Goff throws 3 picks, fumbles the ball, and the week before they didn't even look that good either against the Browns. So what the obvious pick would be the Seahawks at home. That's what I went with, not really because it's obvious, but because, I think the Seahawks at home is really the edge, though. It is tough to beat this team in prime time at home, Thursday Night Football specifically. I think they're going to look at the tape and see what the Bucs did. I think they'll be able to run the ball and pass the ball, both their games on offense, and score enough points to win. And at the same time, the Seahawks defense, very good at game planning. The team in general, the coaching staff, very good at game planning. And I think the defense will be able to play a better game than the Bucs did against the Rams, and they still got the win. So I have the Seahawks winning by 3. You never know what's going to happen in these Thursday night games, but at the same time, I'm pretty confident the Seahawks winning, being at home on Thursday night. That's one of those teams that I just don't want my team to play them on prime time, in Seattle, and it seems like my team does every year, and they do again this year. And the Vikings I'm speaking of. So not looking forward to that. So I like the Seahawks at home here, prime time, Thursday night, winning by 3. We'll see what happens. We'll see if Goff can figure things out with the turnovers. I mean, he's able to throw the ball pretty well downfield at the same time. Vikings, -5.5 against the Giants. And I got them winning 24-16. I thought this game would be a little closer than when thinking of the score. Maybe still a little closer. It's still not a super comfortable win for the Vikings. But, they still have a very good defense. It's not the Bears defense. It might not even be the Bills defense. Maybe not even the Titans or the Patriots defense right now. But it's still a very good defense. And even this rookie quarterback that's been impressive, but this rookie quarterback with no Saquon Barkley, and I know Golden Tate's back, but not the best weapons. They really shouldn't, put up a whole bunch of points on this Vikings team. The only thing I worry about with the Vikings is their offense away. And that could be a problem. But, I mean, if Kirk can't, I know he played the Bears last week. Going from the Bears defense to the Giants defense, should be able to put up some points. I think, they should have learned something. If you watch the end of the Vikings-Bears game, they went quick. There was a lot of slants, which they don't do. And they look good doing that. I know it was garbage time. They look good. So maybe it's something, a light bulb went on. A switch went on there, and they're like, all right, maybe let's run some of this. So I think they get a little bit going on offense. I do worry about the offense away, though. I just don't know if the Giants will be able to keep up just because of the Vikings defense here, but they have been impressive. True test for Danny Dimes. I got the Vikings winning 24-16 in this one. I think we see Dalvin Cook start, get back going again too. Nothing crazy, but much better than last week. Cardinals, Bengals. I think this might be one of the tougher games, that maybe the toughest game to pick of the week. It's pretty much a toss-up. Just looking at the matchups, and it's what I do. I just try to find the difference, what will set the edge. When games are that close, where there's not really an edge, I usually go with the home team. But two things. Last week, not too many home teams won, but I think there is a slight edge, and it goes to the Cardinals. We saw the Bengals' offensive line was a complete disaster against the Steelers. And the Cardinals do have a solid pass rush. Guy like Chandler Jones, I think he can get after Dalton and could be the difference. John Ross being out, AJ Green still going to be out for a couple more weeks. I think the Bengals will be able to run the ball pretty darn well in this game, which will keep it close. I think Kyler Murray can just make that extra play, and Chandler Jones can make that extra play. And to me, that is the difference. I think too close to call in terms of the line. As you can say, well, the Cardinals are plus 3.5, but if you're feeling confident the Cardinals can win this game, then yeah, it looks pretty good. But since it's a toss-up, I think it could be pretty close to call there. But 3.5. Even if the Bengals do win, it could be about by 3 points. So maybe that's one to keep an eye on, see if that changes actually. And the Bills and the Titans, super low scoring here, and it happened to be pretty much exactly the same as what the line is of the Titans winning by 3. Defensive battle. Even if Josh Allen plays in this one, still in concussion protocol as I'm talking right now. But it doesn't really change much. Obviously, they have a little better chance of winning with Josh Allen, but it's just these two defenses are super impressive. I think I think the Bills have the second best defense right now, and you can even say the Titans have the third. They're in the top 5. I love when defenses stop the run first and make teams throw when it's obvious, and that's what the Titans do. I love that, and they can do that here. They don't really need to do it here. I don't think the run game is going to threaten them all that much, so they can play, in the secondary, and they might be able to get their hands on a ball or two, and that could be the difference in this close of a game. We just need one of these quarterbacks to make that extra play. I'm trusting Mariota more than Josh Allen or Matt Barkley. Mariota off a pretty good game. He's obviously scoring 13 points. I don't think he's going to have an outstanding game, but he's getting a little confidence. I think he can make that extra play here. So I do like the Titans. They also get Taylor Lewan back, who I think is one of the best left tackles in football. So not just an upgrade to the line, but I know he's a captain and a big, part of that locker room. So I think that helps a little bit. So I like the Titans by 3, close call on the line. Bears and Raiders. I made this rule a couple years ago. I never put money on the London games. They're just weird. So I'd say that applies here. But I do think the Bears are just a much better team. I think I'd rather have Chase Daniel than Mitchell Trubisky in this game. Daniel is more the game manager. I know he threw 2 picks last year against the Giants. I think it was Ogletree made some ridiculous plays. I just don't expect that to happen. He can throw a pick here, but I think he can be a game manager, and Trubisky's more of that big play guy. He can make something happen with his legs too, or he's that big bad play, that negative play that pretty much cost them. In this game where the Bears are just a much better team all around. I just got word that Roquan's supposed to play too, Roquan Smith. Just all around the better team. And then Chase Daniel kind of being that game manager. I think they should win, but it's London. Anything can happen in London. The Bears are just supposed to be flying out, today or tomorrow. And the Raiders went there straight from the Colts win. And they're kind of getting used to. You can make both ways out of that. Are they there too long? Is that, going to throw them off, or are they used to it over there? The time change, everything, and getting, head on practice over there. Could that help the Raiders? So I wouldn't touch this game because it's a London game, but I still give you my score prediction. The Bears are the better team. They win by 7. I just don't see the Raiders scoring a whole bunch of points here. That's why I got 13. I just don't see how they would be able to do it. I know a couple years ago in London, we saw the Jags just all of a sudden put up an insane amount of points out of nowhere with Bortles. Made no sense whatsoever. So that's why, I give you my score prediction, but you never know with these games. First London game of the year, well, let's test the waters a little bit. I think Khalil Mack, Leonard Floyd, I think those guys will have a big game. Bucks and Saints, one of those other ones that is maybe the toughest game, the pick of the week. Another one I probably wouldn't put money on if it was me because it's so tough. The Buccaneers seem to squeeze one out, get one on the Saints every year. I think last year was the first game of the year, and the year before was the last game of the year. And it just seems like they got something on them. I know it's a different coaching staff, but it is a better coaching staff. And the reason, if you watch our straight up picks, I kind of went into this, and I feel good about my reasoning for both teams to win. It's just, can I pick the right team in this situation? But the reason the Bucks would win and what makes it a tough game is because their offense is rolling right now. Not only that, but the Saints have been winning off of defense, and they haven't played teams that are going to score a whole bunch of points. So Teddy was able to be a game manager. He couldn't do that. He couldn't do that extra play, make that wow play, the high scoring plays. but can he play? It's a bad matchup, kind of. Can he keep up with a Bucs offense? He's going to have to score more points. Regardless if the Seahawks and the Cowboys are a better team than the Bucs, he's going to have to score more points. But at the same time, I think he can do so. Not an insane game. I think he can do so. And then the other, for the Saints, side, they have a playmaking defense. They're getting the hands on the ball at least one time a game. Jameis Winston has been pretty good. I know he's had some throws that could have went to the other team, and he's had some throws that indeed go to the other team. So I think the Saints can get their hands on the ball in this game. They can score on defense even, or they can set Teddy Bridgewater and Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas, those guys up to get the ball in the end zone very easily, with great field position. Saints offensive line looks pretty good. I think though, even though they let up some sacks against the Cowboys, I put that on Teddy, learning experience, so he's still getting back into it. I think the Saints offensive line could have a good game. Like I said, toss up could go either way. 1 point game, you can argue either side. So probably one, I probably wouldn't touch honestly in terms of money betting on it. Jets and Eagles, I got a 30-13 win. I mean, originally, or usually the line's probably too big, but, Sam Darnold's got a spleen issue, which is very scary right now, so I don't expect him to play, even though they're trying to get him to practice. The Eagles got a little momentum, got going here. The only reason I'd say they wouldn't cover is because the Eagles actually have some injuries, and it seems like guys keep getting beat up, whether it's minor or major. So they could get up real quick, and they actually could put some backups in. I don't know if they put maybe they put McCown in. I was going to say maybe not the quarterback position, but it's possible. So I think they can throw some backups in if they do have enough depth. They do have the backups because there's some guys hurt, but they don't want to get those guys, the top players hurt again. So that would be the only reason why they don't cover this. So then it's definitely realistic that they can do that, but me kind of playing the matchup game, comparing these two teams in this head-to-head matchup, 30-13, I think the Eagles' offense really gets going. Their weakness is their defense and teams throwing downfield. I don't think the Jets will be able to do too much of that, but the Jets do have a pretty solid defense, so maybe they can make some noise on the defensive side of the ball there. The Ravens and the Steelers, 27-20. Ravens defense, kind of known as a top defense, but gave up a lot of points against the Browns. They were not too good on the edge specifically, sidelines, big plays down the sidelines, whether it was through the air or on the ground. But then the Steelers aren't the best team at the sideline. They're not the best team. Connor's not going to burn somebody around the edge. Mason Rudolph, that was kind of his weakness, even though I think he's a good quarterback and continue to get better. Can he throw that out route? So they're going to stick to the middle of the field, and he can throw the sideline. He can throw downfield down the sideline, of course, too, very accurate downfield. So they can put some points up on the board here. I just don't know if they have enough. And I think the Ravens offense gets going here. I think they really get going. The pressure of the Steelers defense could be, that's their game. That's their factor. So could get after Lamar, but, he's good under pressure, obviously. I think they'll open up the playbook a little more. For some reason, they weren't doing that a week ago. So I like the Ravens 27-20. Division rival game could be good. But I do have the Ravens covering here. Next game, Patriots and the Redskins. It's a lot of points, 15.5, but I have them winning by 21. There's really no reason they shouldn't win by 21 points or more. There's really no reason. It's a terrible matchup for the Redskins on top of them being, just not good. One of the worst teams in football. There's really no reason they'll get anything going on offense. The only chance is Adrian Peterson, the retro Adrian Peterson, breaking some tackles, which is possible, and breaking a long one. But the Steelers got a lockdown secondary. They'll get their hands on the ball. They'll get some turnovers. Tom's mad. Tom Brady's mad. He played a pretty poor game against the Bills. They had a poor game on offense. The Patriots. They're going to go out there and put some points on the board. Probably won't let up on off the gas. I don't see any. 15.5 seems like a lot, but I just don't. I guess if that was 14, you'd feel a lot more comfortable. But I said the same thing. I didn't think there was any reasons why the Patriots wouldn't cover against the Jets, and the Jets got 2 fluke touchdowns and blew that one for me. So I guess you never know with that big of a spread. Jags and Panthers, another one of those toss-up games. I have the Jags winning by 3. I'm surprised they're plus 3.5, though. So if that stays above 3, I feel pretty good about that. But something to keep an eye on, I just saw a little bit ago, is Minshew is on the injury report. I'm not thinking too much of it, but if you plan on putting money on this game, definitely something to keep an eye on. Keep an eye on Ramsey, too. He may not be able to go. If Minshew's good and if Ramsey's in, I do like the Jags winning because the Panthers haven't seen this defense. They haven't seen a Jags defense, so that might limit them in scoring. They were a little limited against the Texans defense, so they should be against the Jags defense. If Ramsey's in, I feel much more confident about that. And, the Panthers defense has been looking good. But I think the Jags can, they're able to run the ball, which can open up things passing the ball. The Panthers pretty much played the pass against the Texans. They were great in coverage because they were not afraid of the run. You may have to be a little afraid of the run in this game, which could open some other things up. So those are the reasons I picked the Jags. Those give the edge to the Jags, but it's a toss-up. Keep an eye on Minshew injury. Keep an eye on Jalen Ramsey. Possibly that really should make a huge difference. The defense seems to be okay. But 3.5, being above 3, I do like that. But Minshew's out, it changes everything. Falcons and the Texans, another tough one. A 3-point game. Part of me thinks that the Falcons could just bounce back here and win this one. Going back to back against AFC South teams, are they going to go 0-2 right off the bat, or 0-3 actually, back to back actually? Colts, Titans, Texans. Do they really go 0-3? They very well could. The offensive line's not playing good. The receivers don't look too good. They're getting shut down. And then Matt Ryan isn't playing his best ball, and the defense looks a little sloppy. The more I'm talking about this one, actually, I think the Falcons receiver unit could get going in this one. Not only the Texans have a guy that can lock down Julio, so they can get going here. But the Texans' defense has been looking pretty solid, so they can give them some similar problems to the other team. And I expect the Texans' offense to get going a little bit. And I know you're probably getting tired of me saying this, but another one that it's just back and forth. I don't know if I would touch it. I don't know if the Falcons will lose by more than 5 there. I have them losing by 3. It's a close call, but they can. It's possible they win this game even. So, could go with the Falcons +5 in this one, even though it's kind of a close call. Because if they do lose, I think it's around a field goal. I mean, it's easily any team can lose by a touchdown, so that's why it's tough. The Broncos and the Chargers winning by 4. It could go either way. The Broncos could be kind of lifeless at this point. They could be, they could be drained. Everything could be gone. You heard about players, crying, going to the locker room or in the locker room. Just another tough loss. It's just a frustrating season. So that could carry over here. The Chargers' momentum after the Dolphins could carry over. They can score some points. I think they run the ball very well in this game, which kind of causes the clock to run, to be somewhat close. The Broncos' offense looks like it's, getting better and better each week, actually. Not in a crazy pace, but Flacco's throwing some better balls. I love Sanders and Sutton, love those guys. And the running backs, could be a little more involved. So I think for those reasons, the game stays somewhat close here. But I am confident the Chargers win. The Chargers haven't really looked that great this year besides the Dolphins win, which isn't really saying much. So Packers and Cowboys. I got the Cowboys winning by 3. Similar situation. I think a lot of running the ball for the Cowboys because the game plan against the Packers to run the ball. They haven't had the best run defense. So which could run the clock, which could keep it close. Devontae Adams most likely being out is tough, but the Cowboys also have Tyron Smith that could be out, so the Packers pass rush can get after Dak, but again, the game plan should be to run the ball anyways. I just don't know if there's a lot of offense in this game, really just running the ball. And, can the Packers offense get going after the script? They could be the same story. They could be up early and the script goes down. The Cowboys defense clutches up. They are a good defense. Could be the same story as what we've been seeing with the Packers team. The defense also going to be playmakers, get their hands on the ball, turn it over. That could be the difference. I just like the Cowboys with Zeke here, especially with Adams being out. Pretty close call on the line, though, there, as you can see. Should be a fun game to watch. And then I got the Colts and the Chiefs. I think the Colts can put up some points here, but as you can see, the Chiefs putting up some points. They got a 10-point win. It's right around 10.5. I think the Colts are weird, inconsistent. One week like, okay, this team's legit. One week like, what was that? Kind of what we've been getting from them. So could this be one of the weeks? It seems like every other. Could it be one of the weeks where they just explode against the Chiefs? I just don't know if I really see it in Kansas City. The Chiefs' offense, the Colts' defense kind of struggles at times, struggle to tackle downfield. So I like the Chiefs scoring 34, winning by 10 in this game. And then the last one, good game. This might be the game I'm most excited for. I know there's a good Thursday night game, the Packers-Cowboys, but I really like this game. If you watch our straight-up picks, the other guys all picked the Browns like right away. I was feeling the Niners in this one just for the matchup reasons. Because the Browns were able to explode on offense, break out. They could continue that. We saw that at some point last year, and they just kept doing it throughout the year, and we kind of expected early that this year it didn't happen, and they can continue on. It's very possible. I just don't like the matchup for them. I don't think Chubb will run wild. The Niners got a good defensive front to stop the run. Looking at DeForest Buckner, Nick Bosa, people forget, is very well part of the run game. And then the linebacker unit looks really good. You got Alexander, you got Warner. They're going to stop the run, but then what what is the bonus here? What do they do extra? They get after the quarterback. This might be one of the better pass rushes in football, not just from the edge guys, D Ford and Bosa, but DeForest Buckner is one of the better interior pass rushers, and they can use the linebackers there too. That gets, the Browns tackle blocking, the blocking from the tackle position hasn't been hot this year, and then which causes Baker to get pressure, which causes Baker to make mistakes. So I think all that could happen. For the Browns to win, the blocking has to be good. That's the main thing. I don't know if it is here. The Niners can get a turnover or two. And the offense, I don't think it's going to go crazy. I think it could do enough, especially with that defense. Garoppolo was impressive. Last time he played, besides the fumbles, I think interception wasn't his fault. But I think he's really got the offense down. He's throwing an accurate ball. I don't think anything super highly of him. I want to see him do more. But I think they'll be able to do enough on offense. But it's mainly the defense, mainly the matchup. But the reason, if I was wrong, the reason would be, the Browns figured it out. They're hot. They're going to streak now. We'll see. But I kind of like the Niners 3.5. I feel a lot more comfortable if it just is at 3, rather than 3.5. But I like the matchup. I really like the matchup, especially at home on Monday night. The crowd will be in it. The undefeated Niners. I'm hoping the bye didn't slow them down, but some guys were beat up. So maybe it's a good thing too. Could argue either way. The matchup, I like the Niners, but that's why it's a good thing to kind of watch our straight-up picks and why you can check out Junior score predictions too, kind of to compare, because all 3 of the other guys picked the Browns, so that doesn't really look good, but I'm pretty confident with the Niners at home. So we'll see. I'm excited for that game. Should be a fun game to see if both teams are legit, really. Can't wait for that. So thanks for joining us here. I'm back every single week with the score predictions. We got straight-up picks, Patreon. If you want more predictions, Junior score predictions will be added every single week, so you can kind of compare. And you get more than just that if you buy that tier. You get updated playoff predictions, which I did this week. It's on the Patreon. Updated mock drafts, which I did this week. It's on the Patreon. You can get all kinds of different stuff there, so it's worth checking into. But we're back. Got you covered here on YouTube at NFL and college football. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.